Hey guys, do you want to read some Shrek smut with me? Yes, you do. I know you do. Hi, I'm Hannah. I'm here with my little espresso cocktail, which I have already been drinking on. And today we're talking about the book Get in My Swamp. Get in My Swamp by G.M. Ferry. And I think that it's safe to say that this is a pseudonym and a pen name, unless they happen to have the last name of Ferry. I don't know. So let me set the scene for you. Shall I? So Leona is our main character. Like Fiona, do you get it? And we are introduced to her while she is hanging out at her bachelorette party in the middle of a swamp. And not only is it in the middle of a swamp, but a silent retreat. Bit of a peculiar place for a bachelorette party, no? Also, peculiar place for a silent retreat, but okay. This sounds like my version of hell, like camping in a swamp and you can't complain about it? No. Count me out. Anyway, what can I say about Leona? Everybody with me? She's not like other girls. Most young women don't imagine their bachelorette party at a swamp in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, Florida. Most women also don't imagine being surrounded by a gaggle of females so dissimilar from themselves that they wonder if they're even the same species. But alas, I'm not most women. I am Leona Granger, the unluckiest woman there is. I actually don't know what to say about that. Okay, so you're not like other girls, and I hate that about you. I do. I truly do. If you are so much not like other girls that you think other women and you, not even from the same species, honey, I think you need to do some self-reflecting. It's too much. And I would also argue she is not the unluckiest woman there ever was. Are you kidding me? But you know, we'll learn more about that in a second. But that comment about her wondering if she and the other girls were from different species, I genuinely thought that was going to be foreshadowing, because in the movie, she turns into an ogre, right? So I thought that was going to be foreshadowing about her being an ogre or turning into an ogre. But no, spoiler alert, she doesn't even turn into an ogre once. Boring. This video is sponsored by my underwear. Yes, you heard me. This video is sponsored by Parade. Parade makes underwear that is comfortable, affordable, size inclusive, and sustainable. Real talk, I've always hated bras. I know, that's probably not a hot take. A lot of you probably agree with me, but as I've gotten older, I can't just not wear a bra anymore. You know what I mean? So what is a girl to do? That's where Parade comes in. And actually, it is really funny because I was just shopping for bras and bralettes online when Parade showed up in my inbox. And the stuff they sent me is so good. Let me show you what I got in my order. We're starting off with my favorite thing that I haven't been able to take off because I love it so much. The high-rise brief and long line plunge bra in Lush Rib. I love how stretchy and comfy this is, and the material is so insanely soft. And they're so versatile. I love that I can wear it around the house and forget that I'm wearing a bra, or wear it out and it looks seamless under clothes. I'm a big fan. It's just the best fabric that you want for any intimate items because it is smooth, comfy, stretchy, and it hugs your curves in all the right ways. The last set I got is a little sexy. I got the mid-rise thong and triangle bralette in perfect lace. This set is so cute and actually much stretchier than it looks. Parade makes this handcrafted lace that is soft, stretchy, and most importantly, not itchy. And I love the lace pattern. It's so unique. It's made with hand-drawn floral and star motifs. I just honestly love everything about it. Okay, guys, this is where it gets good because I actually gasped when I saw what discount they're offering my viewers. 40% off, site-wide, no minimum order. Me wondering if I should make another order. And if you weren't convinced, Parade is size inclusive too, not only with their wide range of sizes, but with their models on their website. And personally, I find that so refreshing. Parade is the best place to find high quality, affordable intimates in a wide range of sizes. Click the link in the description and use my code DADDY40 to get 40% off site-wide at Parade. Thanks again, Parade, for sponsoring this video. Love ya. So Leona is in a swamp for her silent retreat bachelorette party, which was her maid of honor / future sister-in-law's idea. Leona hates it because she can't tell her great dad jokes. She is so cool and chill, you literally wouldn't even believe it. Leona is engaged to Lawrence Farquaad. I literally don't know how to pronounce this, so I'm gonna say Farquaad, okay? I'm just going with that. He is described as bland and stereotypical as a 3-ingredient recipe. So basically he's boring, but rich as hell because he is the heir of the dual lock security empire, which I thought was pretty clever wordplay. He's nice. Well, nice-ish. He's polite and professional to everyone he meets, but behind their backs will tear them apart like he's Chef Gordon Ramsay and everyone is just an idiot sandwich. I hate that quote so very deeply. It's not funny. No, don't do that. But anyway, Lawrence has a weird relationship with his sister, Victoria. They're not twins, but they like to match clothing and they tell secrets and stuff. Weird. It's weird. The worst part about Lawrence would have to be his size. Oh, he's tall enough, 5'11". The size of his little friend, though? Let's just say the rumors aren't true about the correlation from hand to dick size. He has big hands. Please, I hate the phrase little friend. It's okay. Like, we're adults. You can say
pureness. You said pureness.
But also, if that is the case, I'm gonna need you to stop being coy and give me the dirty details. Like, how big are we talking? Is it a micro? I need measurements, actually. Do you feel that way? Because I feel that way. I speak for everyone when I say we need measurements. And Leona literally says, hey, I'm all for dick inclusivity. Like, she's not discriminatory against smaller dicks. But the actual problem is that Lawrence, he's just a terrible lover, okay? It just sounds like some milquetoast PIV. You know what I mean? Side note, I hate how Leona is speaking to the reader, saying things like, you know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, it feels confusing. Like, are these diary entries? And when we meet Mr. Ogre, which we will in a second, he does exactly the same thing. So it's a writing choice that I don't love it. I am absolutely drunk. Ooh, we started early. Leona is still telling us about Lawrence. You will not believe this quote. He can be judgy, but he did decide to pick me of all people. Well, most guys would pick me in a crowded room. I've got huge boobs, porn star lips. Sorry. And an ass that won't quit. But I'm also poor, come from a shitty family, have no friends. My humor is not for everyone, and I just don't seem to know when to stop talking. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's not unusual for an author to make it known in often very heavy-handed and awkward ways that our main character is hot. It happens so often that it's become a trope, a cliche. But to just outright say it like that, I've got huge boobs and porn star lips? Please. No. But before you think that Leona has any capacity for humility, even like a little just molecule of humility, she says, I'm not everyone's cup of tea, but Lawrence picked me. I'm not entirely sure why, besides being smoking hot and hilarious, but I am thankful he did. Okay, so Leona is smoking hot and Lawrence is rich, but boring, and apparently terrible in bed. But the money makes up for it. Not that Leona is only interested in the money, but the freedom and the security that Lawrence's money provides her, that's important to her. So I get it. But at this point, I was genuinely waiting for Lawrence to be revealed as like an asshole. At the very least, because in the movie, he's not a good guy. And he's also not just a jerk. Like, he's straight up evil. But this is really all we get. He's just fine. That's all. Side note, there are tons of little typos and grammatical errors throughout this entire book. And I am screaming for a line editor to just take one more look. Just a quick sweep over this work, and we could get rid of those. No, I hate that. Oh my God, I am drunk. So let me just drink more. Okay, but here we are. Hey! Chapter 2 starts in Beck's point of view. Yes, Beck. Beck is our Shrek, if you couldn't tell. Beck is an ogre. We're about to get another exposition dump, okay? Shrek lives in a secret magical community that is hidden from the rest of the world. They have all the modern amenities, including cable and internet, so they're up to date with the world, but they keep themselves hidden, so the government doesn't like do experiments on them or make them into like a circus shide show. Sideshow. Yeah, whatever. You guys knew what I meant. Beck lives at the edge of the community as kind of like the last line of defense against anyone who might wander into the community. There's a ton of signs that say like, no trespassing, trespassers will be shot, like scary signs. And then Shrek's on the edge, or Beck, whatever. The ogre is on the edge of the community. And if a human happens to wander past all those scary signs, he is allowed to eat them because he eats humans. He literally eats them. You know, he gets a tasty snack, all right, if they wander past the signs. He says nothing beats that smoky taste of human meat. All that fast food they eat really does something for them. I'm going to throw up. But anyway, Beck gives us some info about what he looks like too. He says, I'm the only ogre in my community. It can be rather lonely being the only 7 foot green. That should absolutely say 7 foot tall. But anyway, it can be rather lonely being the only 7 foot green, hilarious, and gut-wrenchingly handsome creature around, but it's a cross I bear. Look, here's the thing. If he's being just like brash and ostentatious for fun, to be funny, maybe Leona was too. It's still so strange because, again, I have to ask, who are you talking to? Who are you talking to? Please. Oh, and I have to read this quote. Get ready. Gardening is also a great hobby for me. It keeps me busy, and there's something just so erotic about moving my fingers in such a way as to make sure each delicate seedling grows to its full potential. I like to work with my hands and find different ways that improve my dexterity. Erotic? Please, if you find dealing with tiny seeds and dirt is erotic, I'm gonna need you to seek help. What the fuck? Again, I thought this might be some sort of reveal later. Like maybe Shrek has a dirt kink or compost just really does it for him. I don't know. But no, spoiler alert, this is never mentioned again. Oh my God. I think that maybe this is supposed to be a hint that Shrek or Beck or whatever is good with his hands. But goddamn, couldn't we find a different way to say that? So that's Beck, our 7 foot tall ogre love interest who likes to eat humans. He's happy-ish in his own little ogre solitude. Gee, I really hope that a hot girl with huge boobs doesn't fall into his trap. So chapter 3 starts with this very weird sex dream fake out. Leona is tied up, feeling all the feels. I mean, she's loving this. But as the man approaches, she can't really see his face. He touches her, she's all for it. But the minute his face is revealed, it's Lawrence. She wakes up screaming. And then she says, who has nightmare sex dreams about their fiance? Probably someone who should see a therapist. Girl, if you wake up in a cold sweat at the idea of having sex with your fiance, you should break up. Also, you should probably see a therapist. Yeah, but you should break up. Anyway, but she can't take the silence anymore. So she writes the girls a note that says, going to clear my head, don't look for me, which is an absolutely bonkers thing to write down, by the way. And then she goes walking in the woods, but she's not scared at all. If you thought she was scared, she's not. I'm not trying to be a pick-me girl by saying that walking alone in the woods at night doesn't scare me. In fact, there's not a lot that does. So my solo trek through these woods outside the silent retreat is practically a cakewalk. I wish I was dead. So Leona is unafraid of the pitch dark, scary woods at night because she had abusive parents growing up. So that's not how trauma works. Just throwing it out there. And also because the description of the trauma is so stereotypical and matter of fact, it actually feels like tacky, like disrespectful. So we go from this jokey line about her parents arguing in the middle of a Tuesday afternoon at a Walmart straight to this. As usually comes with having alcoholic parents, the abuse came as well. They would hit me, pull my hair, put out their cigarettes on my freckles, the whole gambit. It's hard to find the strength to care if someone is judging you because you're wearing TJ Maxx leggings instead of Lululemon when your childhood was like a World War II battlefield. But since I started stepping into this LA socialite lifestyle, the judgments are getting to me a little bit. I just really hated that. I just did. Why did we need it? It added absolutely nothing to Leona's character, and the writing felt like inappropriately glib. If it is important for us to know that our main character had an incredibly abusive and traumatic upbringing, number one, don't info dump it like that. And number two, don't describe it in 2 sentences. I just hated that. But anyway, Leona is walking in the woods in her pajamas in the middle of the night. And can you believe it? Her phone starts to die. Yeah. And also, can you believe it? She gets lost. She gets lost and then she falls into a trap and everything goes black. So Beck, our ogre friend, he's awoken by a thud and a scream. And it is basically ogre Christmas morning because he knows he's about to find some human meat. But what he didn't expect was to find a gorgeous woman with a hot bod and tan skin, thick lashes, and red lips. Apparently, Leona has permanent makeup. This is good to know. But this is the beginning of actually one of my biggest gripes with this book. In one paragraph, Beck describes her as having jet black hair and tan golden skin. And in the next paragraph, he says that she has peachy skin with freckles. I'm not gonna lie, I'm having a hard time imagining Leona in my head. Oh, and she has bright blue eyes. So either she is a Snow White kind of beauty, like black hair, bright blue eyes, but then he did say tan skin. Or, peachy skin with freckles, that's giving me like red hair. Don't you dare say that I'm being nitpicky. I'm not. This is very important. You find it so important that you need to tell me in the beginning that she's smoking hot, has huge boobs, and porn star lips and a big ass, like all of these things, and then give me inconsistencies with how she's described. That I'm pissed off. I'm mad. Anyway, Shrek takes her back to the cottage and plops her inside a cage that's right next to his bed. He says it's because he doesn't like to kill his meals right away. All right? That's serial killer behavior. And Leona woke up inside the cottage and is obviously freaking out, trying to escape and screaming. And Beck is just kind of like, shaking his head because he thinks it's cute. So she's in the cage and he turns the lights off like, okay, sweet dreams, my little caged princess. It's so weird. The next day, Beck goes to the city council to be like, hey, I've got a girl tied up in a cage in my cottage. Everyone is very alarmed that a woman found herself in the community. Like up until now, it had only been men. So they're thinking this is a huge security breach. How did she end up here? They want answers. Rightfully so. But the mayor's president, I don't know, the important person asks, how old does this woman look? I scratch at my head. I'm not sure. Humans age differently than some creature. Does she look like she's in her childbearing years? He asks. Yes, I say dryly. Murmurs pass through the crowd. I know the reason he's asking me this. He doesn't have to explain. Just like me, it seems cruel to dispose of a young woman with so much potential. He hoped she was old and frail with only a few years left. Oh, a woman is only valuable when she... hit myself with my microphone. She's only valuable when she is fertile. Look, I know this is just a silly little romance novel and I should look at it for what it is. But this actually really made me mad. If she was older, great, free game, have fun. But because she is of childbearing years, she has potential and must be saved. Ugh. Fuck that. Anyway, the mayor is like, well, okay, well, that's a shame, but you know what to do. Bon appetit. And Shrek is like, well, hold on. Like, what if I kept her as a slave? Like, she just stayed with me. And they are not happy about it, but they're like, okay, but you better make sure she doesn't escape. Beck says, I don't just want her company. I want to protect her for some odd reason. It must be her rack. A nice pair of tits always ruins a man's judgment. It must be her rack. Oh my God, Jesus, take the wheel. As Beck is walking back to his cottage, we meet Donkey. And his name in the book is not Donkey, it's Donnie. I think it's Donnie, but the way that it looks reads Donnie. I don't want to call him Donnie, so I'm going to call him Donkey. He is a centaur and a womanizing piece of shit. He wants to meet Leona, and Beck is like, absolutely not. We are not friends. You can't meet her. And stay away from my prisoner, or I'm going to eat your eyeballs. Also, side note, Shrek did mention that his favorite food is eyeball soup. So, yum. So yummy. Okay. We're back to Leona. Now, since Leona was not like other girls, we already assumed that she was teeny tiny and petite, right? Ding, 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 ding. You got it. Another alarming feature about him is his height. I'm pretty short, 5'2", so everyone is tall compared to me, but I swear he's at least 7 feet. He also has 2 large fangs almost touching his nose, green skin, and muscles on every inch of his body. If he wanted to, he could crush my skull without breaking a sweat. The big fangs that reach up to his nose, those are difficult for me to imagine. I can kind of understand you know, the orc romances or like the Ice Planet Barbarians, which I've done a video on. You know, big muscled men who can pick you up as if you weigh lighter than a feather. Like, I get it. But the fangs? I just can't. I can't get behind the fangs, guys. Anyway, so Leona is in her cage when Beck comes back from the city council meeting. And she's thinking, okay, well, maybe he can be reasoned with. He speaks English. Maybe he doesn't want to eat me. Which, I mean, Leona, he does want to eat you, but he's resisting the urge. So I guess that makes it better. Beck makes her French toast. And Leona notices how big his fingers are. Slut. Beck is disappointed when he finds out that Leona is engaged. He really thinks that he's going to get her to fall in love with him. I know this is a romance, so we know how it ends. We know that they're gonna end up together. Spoiler alert, that's how romances work. But at this point in the story, it makes no sense. Does he really have such little riz that he thinks that locking up this human girl in a cage in his cottage will make her fall in love with him? Leona begs him to let her go. She's like, I can offer you money. I can give you anything that you want. And he's like, sorry, Toots, it's too late. I won't make you my slave, but like, you're here now. So Leona says, I'm going to make your life hell until you let me go. But the thing about our ogre friend is that he likes a fight. Like, he really likes a fight. So that comment about her making his life hell just turned him on. He was into it. And he leaves. Leona is left to eat her French toast and figure out a plan to escape. I'm getting out of here. I may not have the strength or agility to escape, but I do have one thing. I think he's interested. I saw the way he looked at me. He couldn't keep his eyes off my lips or my tits. I've used my body to get my way before. Heck, I would say I'm even doing it now with my upcoming marriage. I think the feminist gods would forgive me if I used a little seduction to get out of the clutch of an ogre. F that guy. Operation Pussy Trap commence. No. Oh my God. So Operation Pussy Trap. I can't even say it. Beck comes back and Leona's being all alluring and sultry. Like, she's licking her lips, she's making eye contact, and Beck is loving it. Side note, we get another contradictory description of what Leona looks like. Here, he says that she has brown hair. Earlier, he said she had jet black hair. What is going on? Anyway, Leona is not subtle with this seduction. She immediately starts putting on a show, you know what I mean, for Beck. And he can see right through it. Like, he knows what she's doing. But he decides, you know, I might as well enjoy this show while it lasts. So Shrek enjoys the show. Leona is finished with her performance. And then Beck is like, well, that was fun. Shall we eat? And Leona is pissed. She's so mad her plan didn't work. But she's not giving up. So now Leona is mad at Beck. She's not thrilled to be in this situation. But this girl is so into him. She likes the sound of his voice. She likes how big he is in height and in girth. Ugh. And overall, she thinks he is just very cute, very handsome. Remember the fangs? The fangs that like almost reach up to his nose. Apparently that doesn't bother our girl. She's not bothered by that at all. Leona still thinks that she can seduce him into letting her escape, or at the very least, let his guard down enough so that she can escape. He tells her he can't let her go because the magical community already knows that she's there. And even though she promises she won't tell, he's like, I'm sorry, my hands are tied. They already know you're here. To try and make Leona feel better about her new existence, he takes her on a tour of his property. She cries in the outhouse for like 15 minutes because she misses her bidet. Which is honestly such a mood. Literally, I would be doing the same thing, missing my toilet at home. She sees the chicken coop, the garden, and a small spring by the cottage. It sounds very idyllic, to be honest, except they're in Florida. Leona is going to try and make her escape tonight. So she asks Beck if she can sleep in the bed. And Beck is like, sure, but I'm not sleeping on the floor. So it's you and me, Toots, in the bed. And Leona actually does fall asleep. But when she wakes up, she's face to face with Beck. And she says, although personally, I'd love to see just what his body could do to me. He could break my neck without even exerting much energy. And for some odd reason, that turns me on. God, do I need a therapist? Yes, Leona. I think your need for a therapist is well established at this point. And Beck is wearing gray sweatpants.
Oh my God.
Please. Oh, and Stockholm Syndrome has a full hold on Leona. Even though she's been here for literally less than 24 hours, she decides to have some personal time, some me time, you know? She says, and I quote, "I might as well get myself off before I try to escape." Ooh, why are you doing things humans wouldn't do? Why are you writing characters that are doing things that are not logical? No. Anyway, we get some smut here, and it's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I think if you ignore the premise of the whole book and everything we know about these characters and just look at this scene, it's not bad. It's pretty well written smut. I can't go into it here because of YouTube guidelines reasons, but I will mention one thing, which is that Leona says that Beck's finger is bigger than Lawrence's member. That is an insane thing to say. Wow, my eyes are watering because I've been laughing at this sex scene. By the way, when I find especially heinous or bad writing in spicy scenes, I save those bits for my Patreon. So if you want more from this ogre romance, if you want more of my personal pet peeves when it comes to spicy scenes, consider supporting me on Patreon. Patreon.com/daddyhannah. Patreon.com. Patreon.com/daddyhannah. Anyway, Beck helps Leona finish her business and then just rolls over and goes to sleep. They say nothing. It is very romantic. It is so romantic, you wouldn't even believe it. Beck spends the next chapter, a great deal of the next chapter, making sure that we know that his primal instincts are telling him to take Leona by force, to, quote, mark her as his own. But Shrek, he might be an ogre, but he's a gentleman, and he's not going to do that. So he's going to start wooing her. It's super romantic. Okay, all right. So basically, after Shrek is asleep, Leona sneaks out with one last longing gaze at her ogre, which, might I remind you, met 24 hours ago and kept her in a cage for most of the day. She runs as fast as she can into the woods. But it doesn't take long for Beck to hunt her down at all. I mean, he's 7 feet tall. He's got long legs. And she's just tiny and petite and cute and not like other girls. So she's running as fast as she can, but she's so tiny. Her legs can't run very fast. And the thing is Leona is kind of into the chase. Like, she's into the chase. She's into the restraint when he pins her down, when he catches her. I am absolutely not going to kink shame someone for being into that. To being into the primal kind of hunted, whatever. And I'm not even going to kink shame anyone who enjoys this scene in particular, okay? I just wish there was more time. This is all so rushed that it's unbelievable. If they had more rapport, more alone time, then her being secretly into him catching her, you know, and pinning her down would actually make sense. But she's into it. All right, whatever. But they bang on the forest floor. Okay. One question that I do have that I think is very important and I will discuss here is, how do they kiss with the fangs? I know I already mentioned that the fangs are hard for me to imagine, but Leona makes no mention of it. She just likes kissing him. I need more information. Also, in this scene, she says his tongue is as large as her hand. Look, I am a person with small hands. Can you imagine someone's tongue? Oh, no, I don't want to think about that. Beck carries Leona back to the cottage and kind of cleans her up and gives her a massage. Just so, you know, so kind of him. When Leona wakes up, she thinks she should feel embarrassed for playing in the forest with her captor, but she doesn't. She feels amazing. And they are flirting. Their banter has totally changed. They are acting like they have known each other for years. But before they can get it on again, Beck is like, we need to get you some new clothes because, you know, the PJs that she was wearing are all ripped to shreds after their encounter in the forest. So since Leona doesn't have any other clothes and they got to go get her some new clothes, Beck literally puts her in a potato sack. They go to the clothing store in town, which is run by the fairy godmother. So cute. And while Leona is getting fitted for clothes, a wizard in the town, a local wizard named Winston LaRue, shows up. Can we just take a second on that name? Winston LaRue? I mean, that does sound like a wizard, like a jolly old wizard that would be in town. Winston LaRue. Anyway, he's there. And he wanted to let Beck know that there is a memory potion that he has that he could give to Leona that would wipe her memory of everything that she's seen here. And so he could actually let her go. She would just take the potion and she would never remember that she was ever here. Beck is like, okay, this is good information, but like GTFO is a little secret to him. And Leona has her Cinderella moment and comes out in a pretty white sundress that Beck is just like wanting to rip off of her. And I wish that I could imagine what she looks like in this scene, but I can't because I have no idea what Leona looks like. That annoys me. I am annoyed by that. So anyway, Leona gets a new wardrobe and she's settling into her new life here. She's gardening. She's journaling. Apparently, Shrek got her a journal. Like we don't know that. So why is she journaling? Anyway, that's not important. And she's getting her freak on with Beck, like constantly. They are speed running a relationship, basically. In between physical adult activities, they share their childhood trauma. Things are getting serious. Things are getting serious in this relationship, guys. I don't know the timeline of how long Leona has been here. I can't imagine that it's been more than a week. One day, Beck is chopping some wood and Leona decides to go for a little dip in the spring that's close by. Shrek agrees to let her out of his sight. I don't get this, but she decides to go skinny dipping she decides to go skinny. Leona strips and says she hopes, quote, a leech won't crawl into my vagina. And I will never, ever, ever, ever get that cursed image out of my head. So thank you, author. Love you for that. Anyway, while she's swimming, Donkey shows up and he's being creepy. Like, he picks up her dress and he's like, come on out and get dressed. Let's get to know each other. Ew. And Leona is getting bad vibes because he says, what do you mean? I'm Shrek's only friend. But Shrek has never mentioned Donkey to her. And obviously Leona and Beck are soulmates and they know everything about each other after this long week. So this is strange. But Leona runs out of the water and gets dressed as fast as she can. And Donkey starts getting into the tea. Like, what actually happened to Beck's parents? Basically, a little boy wandered into the edge of the community and Beck's mom let him go because she wasn't going to eat a little kid. But then that little boy's dad shot her. And then after a few days, Beck's dad shot himself with that same gun. I don't know how he got that gun. I don't know. I don't know. Whatever. This is very devastating. I know I sound like I'm joking. It's just because I am a little bit, Anyway, but Donkey is chuckling while he's telling the story. And literally, Leona, run. She's having bad vibes this whole time. So Leona is trying to remove herself from the situation when Donkey just kisses her and tries to force himself on her. Okay. Anyway, Beck shows up just in the nick of time and beats Donkey to a pulp. Okay, this makes sense. But then Leona thinks he's going a little overboard. So she stops him and says, it's okay. It's okay. And then you will never believe what happens next. I'm not joking. You will never guess what happens next. They have physical relations on the ground right next to Donkey's unconscious body. So cute. Oh my God. This actually made me a little sick and a lot confused. Also, Leona can taste Donkey's blood on Shrek's lips and it turns her on. Oh my God, maybe they are meant for each other. Anyway, at the end of all of it, still lying next to Donkey's unconscious body, Beck tells her that he loves her. Hi, another pet peeve in romance novels, I have to say. The author wants to give us a knight in shining armor moment. The male love interest shows up just in time to save our female main character from being attacked by another man. There's nothing wrong with that. I get why people like that, but it's what happens afterwards that bothers me. Beck asks Leona if she's okay, and she says, it's fine. It's not the first time I've had some creep try to cop a feel. That annoys the shit out of me. If you are going to add the seriousness, the weight of an attempted assault, at least give me a main character who reacts appropriately. They can go home. He can hold her. He can take care of her, whatever. But don't have her brush it off like it's nothing. And not only does Leona brush it off like it's nothing, her immediate concern is if Shrek is okay. Like, she wants to know how he's feeling. Because apparently they want to be as close to the near dead, unconscious body of Donkey as much as possible. They get in the spring and they do it again. Okay. Okay, we're done with this scene. Let's move on. Beck is starting to feel guilty about keeping Leona here, even though all he talks about is how she was made for him. She belongs to him, all that ownership stuff. But as his love for her grows, so does his guilt. So he decides that he is going to get that memory potion. In the next chapter, we're back to Leona's POV, and she's wondering, she's in the cottage by herself, and she's wondering, can a captor and a captive really fall in love? And I think the answer to that, Leona, is no. But anything in your mind is better than Farquaad, so I believe you. I believe your truth. So that's that. Leona is in love. And she's giddy and excited to tell Beck. She's very excited about it. But when he gets back and she professes her love to him, he yells at her that she can't stay here and that she can't possibly love him because he captured her. This is a bit of whiplash. I have to say. The entire book, Beck has made it clear that he doesn't care what anyone thinks or what anyone wants. He has to have her. Now he has her consensually. She's in love. She wants to stay. And now he's saying no? That's weird. But Leona's pissed off. So she puts herself in the cage with the key and says, "You can't make me leave." Which was hilarious. And in another moment of absolute whiplash, she decides to put on another show for Beck. She thinks that this is going to help him change his mind and he's going to let her stay. So she puts on a show to punish him. If you're wondering what is happening, my answer is I have no idea. I have no idea. But Beck just hulks out and bends the bars of the cage and, quote, stands up and walks inside the cage. How big is this cage? I thought it was like a really big dog kennel, but apparently Beck, who's like 7 feet tall, can just walk inside. So I don't know if I believe that Beck didn't ever just keep humans to torture and eat. A serial killer shit. Anyway, chapter 19 is really just a lot of smut. Again, it's not bad smut if you forget everything you know about the characters and the plot or the entire context of the story. It's not bad. But afterwards, Leona is like, does this mean I can stay? And Beck is like, no, you can't. So Leona is mad and she's like, okay, f you, and runs away. Do you know how I said that this book is full of typos and grammatical errors? They are everywhere. I literally could not tell you every single one, but this is the most egregious. I've been happier here in this quiet, solitary life than ever before. I used to think that materialistic possessions and status would make me feel the exception I always lacked growing up. Do you by chance mean acceptance? Because exception isn't even a word. That's not a word. And then we get another one that is, sure, the passions and feelings between us are eclectic. I believe the word you're looking for is electric, not eclectic. Look, you might be thinking, Hannah, you are taking this work too seriously. This is just a fun, silly little romance book. You don't have to look at it so seriously. But I truly believe that there's just no excuse for this level of negligence in your writing. The author didn't even have to hire a line editor, although they definitely should have. I would be happier if they did. These are errors that they could have seen themselves by just giving their work another read through. I just hate the carelessness. Did this author really write each chapter and then just never look at it again? Anyway, back to Leona. She's stomping through the forest, literally wearing only Beck's t-shirt. She runs into someone. Can you guess who it is? Lawrence. Yes, Lawrence. He was looking for her in the forest. But he seems like pretty unconcerned that he found her, like mostly angry. He's just like, where have you been? Did you really like run off to rough it in the woods? So the bridal party saw the note that said, don't come looking for me. And they just let it be. She took nothing with her and they thought, meh. Maybe she needs some space. That's weird. That's pretty weird. But anyway, Lawrence finds her and they head back to LA. Leona adjusts back to her life in LA, but she is journaling a lot because she doesn't want to forget any of the experiences that she had with Beck. And also she spends her time crying herself to sleep. Poor girl. This is sad. One day, she decides to surprise Victoria with lunch. This is her maid of honor and future sister-in-law. This feels pretty weird and out of character because since the beginning of the book, Leona has made it clear that she does not like Victoria and she just is kind of stuck with her because she's her fiance's sister. But she shows up to her apartment, doesn't knock, just walks right in, says, I've never been the knocking type. This is weird. Look, again, I am pleading with you, my viewer. I'm not being nitpicky. Don't you dare say that I am, because the problem is when characters do things that are literally illogical, okay? This is crazy. Obviously, our author wanted Leona to walk in and see something, which we're about to get the reveal. But to have her go to Victoria's house that she doesn't like and then just walk in, and for Victoria to not have the door locked, she just walks in like that. I just hate that. Okay? I hate that. Don't walk into my house without knocking or telling me. Like, text me if you're going to come over. Anyway. But obviously we're setting up a big reveal because Victoria is in her bedroom with a man. And guess who that man is? Just guess. Can you guess? It's Lawrence. Yeah, it's Lawrence. Neither of them says anything, but they don't have to. I can read it all over their similar looking faces. And that line is simultaneously hilarious and absolutely disgusting. I hated that. And Leona is completely repulsed, as she should be. And Lawrence says, Victoria and I aren't in love. We just know each other's bodies better than anyone else. It's purely physical. Finally, Leona responds in an appropriate way. She says, are you trying to make me puke? How the fuck did you expect that to make me feel better? And that made me laugh out loud. Every time I read it, it makes me laugh. It's true. Why did you think that was going to make me feel better? Ew. But Lawrence is like, well, hang on. We can make this work. I'll keep fucking my sister and you can fuck whoever you want. And no one has to know. It doesn't sound like a bad arrangement, to be honest. Actually, never mind. Gross. Ew, gross. So Leona is like, fuck that. This is so gross and dysfunctional. I'm out of here. And at the end of this chapter, the author's note says, sorry for the incest. I just had to. Did you? But did you? Fast forward a month or so, Leona is already moved out, has a new studio apartment, and has a new job. She's back to struggling, but she's happier. She's lonely for her ogre. She keeps calling him her ogre. So cute. But she's happier to have like freedom and, be relying on herself. One night, while she's having some personal time, thinking about Beck, loud bangs come from her apartment door. And before she can even do anything or call the police, it slams open and she literally thinks she's about to be murdered, but get ready. It's Beck. It's so cute. Beck literally broke into her apartment wearing a ski mask. How terrifying is that? But it's been 2 months since they've seen each other. And Beck is like, so sorry for my dramatic entrance, but he could smell her through the door. Authors have to stop doing this. I don't care how supernatural your fairy or ogre or magical being's senses are. Don't tell me that they can smell their arousal. Just no. Stop. So obviously Shrek had to break it down. Like, what else was he gonna do? He could smell her. He could smell her through the door. Ugh. So they don't exchange any loving kisses or sweet words or long embraces. They just get right down to business. Okay, then. Sheesh. And then in the afterglow, Beck asks Leona the craziest question. Why did you leave? Why did she leave? Maybe because you told her she had to leave and she couldn't stay. Genuinely, what the hell is that question? But he's like, I love you. I want what's best for you. And she's like, I love you. I love our swamp together. Let's go live our swampy happily ever after. Let's go do it. And you want to know what? They do it. Not it. Well, they do it, but they do that. They go to the swamp. And we get a cute little epilogue at the end. It's sweet. Leona and Beck are living their cute little cottagecore little lives back in the swamp, which mostly involves a lot of adult activities, a lot of banging. And Leona ends our story with this. To think my only discomfort in life is the fact I have to stop myself from spending all day jumping Beck's bones. Damn. Life is good. Leona, I am happy that you're happy. Genuinely, I am. I'm happy that you're happy. Now, here's Here's some of my final thoughts. I think that there could have been a lot more done to connect this story with the storyline that we know in the movie. I wish that Shrek had saved her in some capacity. Like not the donkey attack, but like in the movie. I wish Farquaad had been more evil and less gross. And I wish that we actually knew what Leona looked like. Sorry. I'm still mad about that. But if you detach the story from the story of Shrek as we know it, it's not a bad plot. It's got some good elements. I just wish it had more depth. Yes, I'm asking for my Shrek romance to have more depth. Fuck you. I think that there could have been more to connect the plot points together and make us as the reader more invested in the characters and the story. Also, there's too much smut. I know. Look, don't get me wrong. I love a good smutty book. I have read plenty of books that are just smut scenes, just kind of loosely tied together with plot. Like, okay, there's nothing wrong with that. But there were many moments where I thought we were going to get some good character development or the relationship would progress more. And then they just had sex. There was no build up to the smutty scenes, so they just didn't feel like there wasn't as much payoff. You know, this is not the worst romance novel I've ever read, not by a long shot. I have read some pretty terrible writing. I think it has a lot of potential, but the little errors, grammatical errors and typos, and the open-ended questions make me think that this was just kind of thrown together. And I don't care how silly a novel or a novella is. The author should care more about the quality of the work. There you go. I gotta say it. Thanks again, Parade, for sponsoring this video. Click the link in the description and use my code DADDY40 to get 40% off site-wide at Parade. If you want a longer version of this video, including the dirty details, the smutty, more of my thoughts on the smutty scenes, support me on Patreon. I would love to see you over there. It really means a lot. And if you have any suggestions on romance novels you want me to review, the more terrible, the better, please let me know in the comments. Okay, bye. I love you.